want to say thank you. It has been a joy, it has been a privilege, and it has been a true honor to work and to serve next to you guys. And this morning, as Paula and I really took tons and tons and tons of time together to process this text, I'm going to go back to it and bring forth a few more words of where God is moving, what he's doing. And so Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 12 and 13 is up here on your screens. It goes like this: I know that there is nothing better for man than to be happy and do good while they live, that everyone may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all his toil. This is the gift of God. Life is a gift. It doesn't matter where life finds you this morning. I bet we would be in agreement that life is a gift. So the question really is, what in life matters? Is it seeing the Dodgers maybe win a World Series someday? Or is it looking for a new head coach for the 49ers? The truth is, when we discover what truly, truly matters, that is when we can begin to enjoy life. Over the past 10 years, Paul and I have worked beside some amazing groups of people that have figured out what truly matters most. Reflecting on the text and what it means to find satisfaction in toil, this church understands what it means to toil, which translates to incredibly extreme amount of hard work. We will never forget the countless times people from this church have helped transform this campus, for crazy, exciting high school concerts, to family events, to drive-in movie theaters, to dances, to girls' retreats, to events where every single chair in this building was taken out on a Saturday morning and placed back in here on Saturday night to get ready for worship on Sunday morning. Or better yet, the hours and the days that have been spent loving and listening to students and children's hearts while they serve beside them on a Sunday morning or on a Wednesday night or in a summer mission experience or a camp. You guys know how to serve God, which matters most. The excitement and the joy that you guys bring to Paul and I and have brought to Paul and I is overwhelming. Many days, Paul and I would say to each other, these people have another full-time job and they still want to give more. We've never, ever been part of a church where so many people volunteer their time and their talents and give beyond measure. The example of many adults in this room has helped transform this generation and generations to come. The amount of students ages 15 to 25 that serve inside of this church at Redeemers is ranking this church in the top 10% in the United States, according to a study that was done on us by Fuller Seminary. This is what matters. Now, back to our text. If we look at Ecclesiastes 3:14, I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added, nothing can be taken from it. God does it so that man will revere him. To revere him translates to fear. And when we fear him, we find purpose. Fear and purpose go hand in hand. Just like peanut butter and jelly. Just like chips and salsa. Just like the Dodgers trying to buy a World Series. I want to see if you guys were paying attention. We have lived among people from this church that have said, I don't really have time to serve. And yet they've decided to do it anyways. Because they understand that God is presenting an opportunity and he will make that time. That is living a life where God is in control. And we are fearing what God is going to do. You know, our world that's around us is constantly speaking into fear. Let's take it way, way, way back to Roosevelt. Roosevelt said, the only thing is fear itself. The only thing to fear is fear itself. And then Babe Ruth, another really old guy, said, never let the fear of striking out get in your way. And then in the 90s, a clothing line was built upon fear, no fear. Our world is constantly telling us not to be afraid. Stand up for what is right. Look fear in the face. Triumph over it. But there's another lesson in this text that I want to draw us to. If we look at it here on the screen, it comes from the New Living Translation, and it reads like this, Ecclesiastes 3. It says, God's purpose is that people should fear Him. While often our world is teaching us to believe in ourselves and fear nothing, God is telling us to believe in Him and watch what He can do. Ecclesiastes is calling us to a different kind of living. To fear God means respect and stand in awe of Him because of who He is. He becomes our inspiration. So many times we love to watch movies, look through life purpose quotes that others have lived, and thought to ourselves, what an inspiration. That person really knew how to live, or I wish I could have taken the time to do that. Lives like Steve Jobs, Walt Disney, Mother Teresa, Helen Keller, Tom Shoes, Bono, Oprah. Can you imagine what type of a dinner party that would be? All those people together? We are a culture that absolutely loves to people watch. But in truth, what our world is teaching our kids and our students is this. Be inspired, ... But don't forget to take care of yourself. We live in a society that reveres other people's lives, but contradicts itself when we simultaneously also throw out this message that says you need to move up, you need to gain more, you need to gain more for yourself. It's a wrestling match, a constant wrestling match of look at others, but take care of yourself. Or, oh, that's a beautiful story, that's so inspiring, but back to me. The contradiction makes it so hard for us to prioritize what God is calling us to instead. You know, Jesus' words are incredibly powerful all throughout the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, New Testament. Jesus said this, the greatest among you will be your servant. Matthew goes on to say too, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give His life as a ransom for many. This entire message was wrapped, Jesus' entire message was wrapped around serving one another. And that message is getting lost in our world today. That's living a life of becoming like Jesus, to love like Jesus. I'm sure you've heard Rick say that. The servants of this church know what it means to fear God. One of the greatest lessons that Paul and I have learned from you guys over the last 10 years is to celebrate the blessings that come from serving one another. A life worth living is a life of service. It brings purpose, it brings worth, and not to mention it brings a ton of fun. Purpose in life starts with who we know, not what we know, or how good we are. It is impossible to fulfill our God-given purpose unless we revere God and give Him first place in our life. Some of us in this room have not placed our trust in God. But I encourage you to do so. I encourage you. Or maybe some of you have trusted God with your eternity, but haven't feared Him with your everyday life. When we place Him first, we become second to everything else. And that is truly so much fun. The next chapter for our family is a continuation of you guys. A continuation of what we've lived out right here. Churches, just like you, all over the United States, are looking for ways to bring life to Jesus' words of being a servant. We now get the opportunity to give a tangible challenge to students from all over the U.S. to consider dedicating a period of their time to living out of their own comfort zone and focusing on what it means to think of others. Students in the U.S., as we know, are growing up in a world that is battling. Who can I become? And how can I become number one at it? When we know that God is wanting to share with them the message of share your gifts and give to others. Our partnership with La Montaña Christian Camps in Costa Rica is the opportunity to provide a field where students can come and experience how serving can impact not only their own life, but the lives of so many others. La Montaña is 700 acres in the rainforest in Costa Rica mountains. And it's been developed as a state-of-the-art camping facility for students all over Latin America. Similar to many of our students and even some of you adults here, a Christian camp experience has become a defining moment for many of us to come to know who Jesus is. In fact, I myself made a commitment to Jesus Christ 24 years ago at Hume Lake Christian Camp, who actually has played a huge role in the development of founding La Montaña 15 years ago. This year at La Montaña Christian Camps marks 100,000 youth from Costa Rica coming to experience support of God's calling us, that has given us the confidence to take this leap to be a missionary. The fear that brings is not one of being afraid, but rather one that forces us to rely on Him and His purpose and His timing. We are truly, truly excited about the continued support from you guys. But you guys mean so much to Paul and I. We will forever, ever have a place in our hearts what you guys have instilled in us. As we go and as we raise 100% of our monthly expenses and our move to Costa Rica from the generosity of people just like you, we invite you. In the seat in front of you, there's a prayer card, and we covet your prayers. We ask that you take it and put it on your refrigerator and pray for us. Please, please, please. We know that this is not an easy task. We know that this is going to be crazy, crazy hard. But we know that with prayer support, God can continue to move us. I encourage you to do that. Please, if you would like, at the hub on your way out, there's a support card that's available. If you'd like to consider supporting us with a one-time gift or on a financial pledge for this ministry, it all goes directly to what God has for us. Knowing that each of those gifts is above and beyond your tithe to Redeemer's Church. I want to say this And I say it every time that I get a chance to speak. I will say it until I die. Truly the gift of God is to live out loud the work that God has for us. When we discover the passions that God has placed within us, we discover how he wants to impact the world. I wear this bracelet that says passion equals world changer. And I encourage you guys, and I challenge you, and I encourage you so much. When that passion is found, you will change the world that's around you. Again, thank you so much for allowing Paul and I the opportunity to serve with you, serve beside you, serve with you over the last 10 years. Thank you.